Hey guys, today I'm gonna tier rank every Claymore that's on this tier list. I highly recommend reading the manga first before you watch this video because 1, the manga is really good, and 2, there will be spoilers, so you've been warned. Now, the way I'm gonna be doing this tier list is I'm going to focus only on Claymores, so the Silver-Eyed Warriors. No pure humans, no awakened beings, just Claymores. If a character was seen as both Claymore and awakened being, I'm just gonna go with the role that they are most known for. So for example, Priscilla, the former number 2, before she awakened. For most of and the rest of the series, she's an awakened being, so I'll categorize her as an awakened being, so she goes into the unqualified tier. Okay, now that I got the intro out of the way, I can start the ranking. Okay, so starting off this list here, we have Rafaela. Initially, we don't know much about her other than that she's mysterious, but we do learn about Rafaela's past in chapter 64, in which her sister Luciella became an abyssal one, a former number 1 who have awakened. She reunited with her sister, but she killed her out of love and mercy. We later see in chapter 91 and 92 that Rafaela fused with her now dead sister and challenged Clare to a duel in her mind, in which Clare won. Upon defeat, her consciousness disappears but leaves her memories to Clare. 2 scenes I wish we could have seen is, number 1, her confrontation with Irene. Initially, Rafaela was sent by the organization to execute the former number 2 and 3 for deserting from the organization, and she could have easily killed her. But it turns out at the end of the manga, Irene was spared and Rafaela was prepared to leave the organization if she was questioned. I wish we could have got to see what made her decide to spare Irene. This would have also made Irene a more interesting character, but I'll get to her later. The second scene that I wish we could have is her meeting with a younger Teresa. We should have seen these two interact because later during the final battle against Priscilla, Rafaela's memories inform Clare that the one who should awaken is Teresa. Why Teresa, I don't know, but clearly she knows something about Teresa that made her powerful enough to defeat Priscilla. If they shown at least one of these scenes, Rafaela could have been A tier for me, but oh well. Because of this, I think B tier is fitting for her. Up next, we have Undine. Now at first, she's quite rude to other Claymores weaker than herself, and she's got muscles, and just like Deneve said, those muscles are just for showing off and also to mask her insecurities. Not really useful in the fight with awakened beings. We later find out that those muscles are fake and are created by releasing Yoki energy. So it turns out the reason she acts the way she does is because she had a close friend who was felled in battle and was too weak to do anything, at least according to Deneve. Honestly, I think this scene would have been better if Undine was the one telling her story and not have Deneve theorize. It would have made Undine a better character for me because it would humble her and make her a more kind person, but that's what I think. To be honest, I thought she was a bit annoyingly cocky at first, but after seeing how vulnerable she really is, I finally started to sympathize with her a bit. But she's still a weak character for me in my opinion. That's why I'm mostly indifferent towards her, so she gets C tier. Okay, up next we have Cassandra. Now, to be honest, I don't know how to feel about Cassandra. Personally, I didn't really care much for her a lot, but I'm glad she got her revenge against Roxanne. Also, that battle between her and Teresa at the end where she admits that she's happy that she got to go all out and taking her L with pride, I respect that. And the fact that she wished she could be friends with Teresa made me like her character even more. Actually, now that I said all that, I think I'll put her in B tier. She's definitely the most likable of the 3 revived number 1s for me, but what I didn't really like about her is her fight scenes. Like when she fights, she positions herself physically below her enemies and is like crawling on the ground. It's kind of hard to explain how she fights because the way her fight scenes are choreographed is puzzling. I can't really tell what she's doing, to be honest. I don't know if it's just me being dumb, so you'll have to let me know. But regardless, I think B tier is good enough for me. Up next, we have Dietrich. The one trait about her character that makes her stand out from the other Claymores is her strong sense of duty. After being saved and teaming up with Helen and Deneve in taking down awakened beings, the duo asked Dietrich to not mention their involvement and keep their existence as ghost survivors a secret. However, Dietrich has already sworn not to lie to the organization should they ask. She would also rather die than lie to the organization, so if Helen and Deneve don't want to be found out, they better kill her now. But they don't. They just leave her, to which Dietrich follows. And she follows them is because she feels she owes them a great debt. And by being quote-unquote kidnapped, she won't break her oath and wouldn't need to report to the organization. So she not only has a strong sense of duty, but also integrity. She also has a strict adherence to principles and a moral code. Later in chapter 109, we learn that her hometown was overran by hordes of Yuma and that she survived. Then a man in black took her into the organization. She thought that the man in black had saved her life, and that's why she decided to serve the organization with fierce loyalty. However, after contemplation, she begins to wonder if the organization was responsible for the destruction of her hometown. This causes her to finally join in on the overthrow of the organization. As we can see here, while her sense of loyalty is admirable, it doesn't mean she's blindly obedient. However, the one thing I want to compliment her about the most is she's so cute. Like, come on, how can you not think she's cute? I love her no-nonsense, all-business attitude, and it also helps that her hair, those pigtails, are also really adorable. And also at the end of the manga, she was so cute again when she lost the drinking contest against Galatea. She's one of my favorites, and if this was an actual ranking based on how cute they are, she'd be first place. But for this list, I really want to give her S tier because she's one of my favorites, but I don't think many fans will agree with me, so I think A is fair. Helen and Deneve. I'm going to talk about these two together because they're a duo. I like the chemistry between these two and how their personalities are contrasting, yet it complements each other. Helen is brash, optimistic, and impulsive, while Deneve is calm, collected, and stoic. Now, individually, I initially, and probably most people, didn't like Helen at first because of how she treated Clare when they first met. Also, her comment about Rocky being Clare's plaything is uncalled for. And also, I didn't really like her when she was bullying Clare after finding out that she's number 47, the lowest rank given to a Claymore. But throughout the manga, she's come to respect Clare and became friends with her. And I really like that, especially when she calls Clare a hot-headed kid that's calm on the outside but childish in many ways. I also welcome Helen's presence throughout the series, as she tends to brighten up the mood, especially in this dark, dreary world of Claymore. Now, as for Deneve, she's very rational and, unlike Helen, will often think before she acts, such as when both Helen and Deneve were observing Dietrich's fight against an awakened being. Unlike Helen, Deneve would rather stay out of the fight, as it'll cause trouble if they reveal themselves to the new generation of warriors. Deneve also seems to have a more open mind than Helen, such as when she learns why Jean is following Clare, because despite Jean's higher ranking than Clare, Jean feels that she owes her life to Clare after being saved by her. Therefore, Deneve came to realize that not all single digits are arrogant. Though I had issues with this, I appreciated when Deneve deduced the reasoning behind Undine's arrogant attitude and her carrying Undine's Claymore after her passing. With that being said, I'm gonna put these two gals in A tier. Which is funny because I thought they were gonna be B tier for me until I decide to make this tier list and I actually have to think about these characters. Up next we have Ophelia, and I don't like Ophelia. She's very sadistic, and this may seem cold and heartless of me, but I never felt bad when she died because she deserved it. Even when her backstory of her losing her brother was shown, I still didn't feel bad. She was also the one who made Miria's best friend Hilda become an awakened being. In a side story, when Hilda was about to become an awakened being, she gave the black card to Ophelia, whom she entrusted to give to Miria, because she wanted Miria to be the one to slay her before she awakened. However, Ophelia ripped the black card. Therefore, Miria never found out that she was about to turn, and Hilda was condemned to become an awakened being. This makes me wish that instead of Clare, Miria should have been the one to kill Ophelia, and therefore avenge her fallen friend. I don't know why Miria never tried to get her revenge on Ophelia. I guess it's because she recognized that Ophelia was too powerful for her, but she could have at least tried. Despite not liking Ophelia, I will admit, I do like her awakened form though. That snake, serpentine-like form is befitting for a person like Ophelia. Audrey and Rachel. I'm gonna put both of these two in C tier. I don't remember much about them. All I know is that they were there at the final battle in Rabona. The twins as well. I don't have a lot to say about the twins either. They fought Miria along with a bunch of other Claymores until they joined her in her rebellion. And they showed up at the end of the manga, leaving Rubel alive under Miria's orders. Okay, so up next we have Irene. And I really like Irene. She literally shows up near the beginning and end of the series, but she was so close to being S tier. And that's amazing for a person who didn't have a lot of scenes. But the reason why she isn't an S tier is because I have a lot of unanswered questions that delves into her character. Like, for example, how did she survive Priscilla's attack? What were her thoughts on Teresa and Clare together before she met the older Clare? Did she ever have any regrets hunting down Teresa? Did she also regret not helping Priscilla to not awaken? Or what happened during the encounter with Rafaela? I wish we could have gotten a side story like with Miria that explored her character even more. But I still really like her a lot. I love her quick sword technique. I thought it was really badass of her to chop her right arm off to give to Clare. I appreciate her telling Clare to live for Teresa's sake, and I'm glad at the end she's still alive and regrew her right arm. Hysteria can go into C as well. She was one of the #1 ranks who were revived and became an abyssal creature, and she also fought Miria prior to her awakening. Her technique called the Elegance is similar to the Phantom Mirage technique by Miria. Long ago, prior to the current events of Claymore, there was a massacre called the Rockwell Hill Incident where she took out an army of Claymores that were sent to execute her for her awakening, and was later defeated by Teresa and Rosemary. To be honest, I never really cared for her all that much, so that's why I'm giving her the C tier. This could change though if I ever decide to read the manga again, where I just read the wikia about her more thoroughly, but a C will have to do for now. Now here's a Claymore that's somewhat memorable, but not memorable in a good way. Renee. She was quite rude to Rocky when Rocky asked about the whereabouts of Clare. She later got captured by Refool so that she can awaken the fuse Luciella and Rafaela, in which she refuses. I did feel a bit bad for her when she was in this predicament, having her limbs chopped off. But after she managed to escape, we never see her again. Like, did she die escaping or did she manage to leave the island? I don't know. She just never shows up again for the rest of the series. She'd even show up during Miria's rebellion. So that's why she also gets C tier from me, because we never know her fate. I know it seems like she should be in D tier for being rude to Rocky, but honestly it's kind of understandable. I mean, he's literally walking with the most powerful waking being by his side. I think these 3 of the 7 ghost survivors can go into B tier as well. Yuma, Cynthia, and Tabitha. I like them, but I don't think they're as memorable as the other four. Oh, Roxanne. Like Ophelia, I also hate her. She's also one of the revived number ones that became an abyssal creature. She's like Ophelia, but worse. She's a sociopath, and I'm glad she got what she deserved at the mouth of Cassandra. Unlike Ophelia, who at least has a sad backstory, Roxanne doesn't have one. She was always sadistic and manipulative, and she even let Cassandra's only friend get mauled to death by a really weak awakened being. She's definitely an irredeemable character, and that's why she deserves D tier. Up next, we have Miria. Miria is the leader of the 7 survivors of the Battle of Pieta, which included herself, Clare, Helen, Deneve, Cynthia, Yuma, and Tabitha. After the Battle of Pieta, she becomes the de facto leader of the Claymore army that rebelled against the organization. Miria's greatest strength is her leadership. She's able to recognize the strengths and weaknesses of other warriors. What also makes her a great leader is that she also has empathy. She cares for the lives of other Claymores, knowing that they too are a victim of the organization. She understands that most of these warriors have either lost their parents or were abandoned. That's why she spares the lives of other Claymores sent to quash her rebellion. And this act of mercy is also how Miria was able to convince others like Audrey and Raftela to join her. Honestly, for any aspiring girl bosses, for any girls that want to take charge, start a business, or be a leader, they should read this manga and study Miria, because Miria is a girl boss done right. This is how you write a girl boss. She's powerful, has an unwavering spirit, intelligent, adaptable, compassionate, and doesn't belittle others that are below her rank. For these reasons, I'm putting her into S tier. Yeah, she's definitely one of my favorites, but I still wish she could have tried to get her revenge against Ophelia though. Anastasia. I don't remember much about her, but she's beautiful and has nice hair. Speaking of hair, I think the ability to turn strands of her hair as platforms to stand on is very creative. I think just how creative the use of her hair strands as a utility in combat is enough for me to put her in B tier. And that's all I have to say about her. Raftela. She was trained to be a deterrent to any Claymores that defied the organization. She has the ability to use sensory control, which induces hallucinations and confusion on her victims. This ability can also disturb the attacks of other enemies, such as when she forced Cassandra's attacks on Audrey to miss her fatal body parts, saving Audrey's life. Honestly, I really love that speech she gave about the reason why she sided with Miria, and that's enough to make her A tier for me. And I'm glad that she's still alive. Up next, we have Jean, and like Dietrich, she has a no-nonsense attitude and a strong sense of loyalty. Just like Dietrich to Helen and Deneve, Jean follows Clare, believing she owes her for saving her life. She showed this loyalty by sacrificing her life to prevent Clare from fully awakening. One thing I like about Jean that makes her stand out from the other Claymores is that she doesn't care about ranking, much to the surprise of Deneve, who believe that single-digit ranking Claymores are arrogant. Honestly, I don't have much to say about Jean, but I like her. B tier. Miata. You know, I like to think of Miata as if she's what if Priscilla didn't become an awakened being. Basically, the Priscilla that didn't become the antagonist. If you think about it, Miata is similar to Priscilla back when Priscilla was a Claymore. Both lost their parents to Yuma, both are mentally unstable, both had an assassination mission, and both were in the top 5 ranks. Now, both of them did awaken, but this is where they differ. Miata got help in preventing her from fully awakening, while Priscilla never did. Priscilla's crew just forgot about her mental instability and carelessly allowed her to awaken. Do you kind of see what I mean now when I say that Miata is the Priscilla that had guidance and compassion and never fully awakened? It makes me feel more bad for Priscilla because she never got any of that after losing her father. It's also really sad when Miata forgot about Clarice, who sacrificed herself to prevent Miata from fully awakening. However, Miata still got a happy ending, as she is seen with other kids about her age, and this is a well-deserved good ending for Miata, because this is what she needs. This is what a young child needs. Not just a family, but also friends. Young children shouldn't be sent to war and be trained to fight gut-eating monsters. They should be playing with other kids, exploring the world, and socializing with other people. And I'm glad this is the ending she got. I'm still putting her in B tier though. Not because I don't have a lot to say about her, but I feel this is an appropriate rank for her. Now up next we have Clarice. Now unlike all the other Claymores, who all have blonde hair, she's the only Claymore that retains her natural hair color, which is brown. This makes her stand out from the other Claymores because one issue that readers, including myself, have with the Claymores is that it's hard to tell who is who since nearly all Claymores look alike. So having a natural brown hair color really helps the reader identify Clarice, and also gives her some individuality. Throughout the manga, Clarice acted as the mother figure of Miata. Initially, they were both sent to assassinate Galatea. However, after the battle against Agatha, she realizes that Galatea isn't an evil person and decides not to kill her, and deserts the organization. When Europa attacks the city of Rabona, Clarice and Galatea uses Soul Link to allow Miata to awaken, while the duo anchor Miata's human consciousness. However, Clarice collapsed in exhaustion, and Miata was on the verge of giving in to her awakened instincts. Clarice decides to use her Yuma energy to bring back Miata from her awakened state, and succeeds, but perishes. Prior to her death, Clarice casts a good luck charm on Miata, which turns out that it was to have Miata completely forget about Clarice. This was done so that Miata wouldn't be driven to madness and rage over her death. This was one of the saddest deaths in the series. Like Miata, I'm also gonna give her the B tier. Up next we have Galatea, who I think is the tallest Claymore, standing at 6 feet tall. Despite not having her own kids, Galatea is the best mom in the Claymore world. We first see a glimpse of her motherly tendencies in Volume 8, The Witch's Maw. The first thing she tells Clare after she frees her is that she needs to eat more since Clare is so light, which is akin to a mother telling her son or daughter to eat more so that they stay strong and sufficiently nourished. After she deserts from the organization, she became a nun in the city of Rabona and becomes viewed as a mother figure to orphans. And also after the death of Clarice, Galatea comforts and encourages Miata to cry over the loss of her mother. These two scenes show that she's really good with kids, hence, she's the best mom. She's absolutely beautiful, strong, badass, kind, and compassionate. And for me, a Dami mommy. And I also really like the name Galatea. It's such a badass name for a lady. It's obvious where she's going. S tier. I guess my only issue with Galatea, though it's a minor one, is that I wish we could have got to see more of how powerful she is in a fight, since she was the former number 3. The only time we got to see her fight before she was blind was against Doph, but she needed help from Clare and Jean. Regardless, she's the queen, and I'm sure she's a favorite among many fans. Up next we have Flora. Now Flora has this very formal aura from her, like she carries herself with dignity, grace, and poise. It makes sense that she was assigned to be one of the captains in the Battle of Pieta. Clare and Flora had a duel to see which technique was superior, Clare's quicksword or Flora's wind cutter, and it concluded that Claire's quicksword was faster, but Flora's wind cutter was more accurate. However, both techniques were equal in power. I wish that Flora could have stayed alive a lot longer because I'm pretty sure Clare and Flora would have been great friends. And you know, since they both dueled, and knowing how similar the quicksword and wind cutter techniques are, I could definitely see Clare and Flora be rivals who train and help each other become stronger warriors. There's a lot of wasted potential with Flora, and it sucks that she died before she could do anything to Rigaldo. Speaking of death, I hate how she died. She literally didn't get to do anything to Rigaldo. She just gets one-tapped instantly. Okay, to be fair, Rigaldo was too fast for her, but she has the wind cutter, a fast technique that involves drawing, swinging, and sheathing at the blink of an eye speed. So she could have tried to defend herself with it. Also, if she was gonna get killed off, at least give her an honorable death where she dies fighting rather than just get instantly one-tapped. Like I said, I think there's a lot of missed potential from Flora that Norihiro could have capitalized on. I still like her though, and she's undoubtedly beautiful. She gets B tier. Alright, now finally we have Clare, the main protagonist of the series, which is saying a lot, and that's why I don't want to talk a lot about her because this video would be too long. She went from being a traumatized, mute, orphan little girl to being one of the strongest Claymore in the series. By the end, she mastered the quicksword, the wind cutter, and learned Rafaela's fighting style after absorbing her memories. I enjoyed Claire's journey of revenge to kill Priscilla. If there's one flaw that I had with Clare, it's that at the final battle against Priscilla, it wasn't Clare who put an end to Priscilla, it was Teresa. While I did enjoy Claire's story, it's kind of rendered pointless when Teresa is the one who ends up fighting her. Like, what did Clare train long and hard for if the one inside her is gonna steal her show at the end? Don't get me wrong, I'm very happy to see Teresa alive again, but it kinda makes the story of revenge moot. I don't know what to rank her, to be honest. Should I give her A or S? I think I'll give her S simply because, for the most part, I still enjoyed her adventure. If you guys have any other flaws with her or think she needs to be lower, let me know in the comments. I don't want this video to be longer than necessary. And finally, we have the strongest character in the series, Teresa. She's literally the most OP character in the series. She's OP to the point where she rarely uses her Yoki, and if she uses it, if she does need it, she only uses up to 10% of her Yoki. This means that her base power as a Claymore is already way too powerful. You know, this reminds me of Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. You know that old meme that was about Shaggy using only 10% of his power to defeat his ops? Well, Teresa was that meme before it became an official meme. She was the original use only 10% of a person's power. It sucks that a character, especially a female character like Teresa, who's brokenly OP, isn't more popular with mainstream culture, but then again, the manga as a whole isn't popular in mainstream culture either. Teresa's greatest strength is her ability to sense Yoki so discreetly that she can detect the most minute changes in the Yoki flow of both Yuma and warriors, accurately predicting and countering their every move. This skill allows Teresa to judge the strength, speed, and direction of an attack before her enemies can act. She can even detect Rafaela, who was the best at eliminating her Yoki aura. Along with her superior swordsmanship, Teresa was able to copy the techniques of other warriors. And not only was she able to copy the techniques, she can utilize them in tandem with other techniques, and can use those techniques way better than their original users. Okay, so I don't know if this is legit or not, but you know how in the manga there's a database that shows the stats of each Claymore and what grade those stats are? Well, I found this on her Wikia page. So these are Teresa's stats in her base form. Now if you look a little further down on the Wikia, this is her stats as a true awakened being. I don't know if this is real or not. This looks like something a fan would write, but it makes sense, so yeah, she's too broken. Now, based on what I've said about her so far, it looks like I'm describing a Mary Sue, but no, she's not. She's not perfect. She does have a character arc she goes through. Prior to the events of the main story, not much is known about how she became a Claymore, but she was considered by the organization as a problem child, as she would escape from them. So we can see that she had a rebellious side of her, and she seemed happier as a child, but for some reason, we never see how she went from this cheerful, rebellious girl to a cold, aloof, killing machine who was apathetic about everything. I wish we could have got to see what made her go through this transition in personality. Like I said before, she became callous, cold, and apathetic to other people until she met Clare. That moment where she realized that Clare was the one comforting her, not the other way around, was one of the most memorable and one of my favorite parts in this series for me. Teresa finally opened up for the first time in a long time, and finally having a reason to live. Honestly, I can go on and on about Teresa, but this video is already too long, so S tier. And that's it. Finally, that's it. That's the end of the tier list. So what did y'all think? How was the video? Did you agree or disagree with my takes? Who's your favorite Claymore? Let me know in the comments and like this video if you do. Thanks for watching and have a nice day.